3, 2, 1.
My name is Nick. I'm a full-time trader and entrepreneur. We put out tons of stuff for free for traders.
These are real trades. This is real money. I'm putting my money on the line.
This is going to be a live trading video. Here, locking in over $1,000 on this trade.
Wow, I'd love to get in on this.
Technical insights that really look good to me.
Here we go. We're live.
Well, hello friends, and welcome back to another live trading stream. Hope you're doing well. We got some stuff definitely to talk about. We just had some news come out for the dollar, which is actually causing the dollar to move quite a bit. I'm sure if you're watching some of the USD crosses, you've got some interesting stuff going on. What is today? Today is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you guys. Thank you for being here. Welcome all in the chat. Shout out to some of you guys. Daily Randoms. Good to see Victoria here. Micah. I'm not sure what your name is. I unfortunately don't know. I believe it's Chinese. If it is, then hey, that's pretty cool that I knew that, but I don't know. Hey, Adi or Adi, Ezio, Denise, Rajpeet, Sliderman, Skeletus, Andrew. What's up, you guys? Thanks for being here. Happy Tuesday to you. Okay, so markets are looking really interesting right now. There's a lot going on, and I am truthfully sort of conflicted on my dollar thesis. I am actually somewhat, looking at the dollar as a little bit more of a bull today than I have in the last few days or week or so. So the dollar, let's start with the dollar because everything seems to be starting off here today. So the dollar is rallying this morning here off of the news. Honestly, very, very strange sort of a series of events. Let me show you guys, catch you up to speed as to what's going on. So I watched this number come out today. Here is the Forex factory. I'll give you a full screen view so you can just see this. So check this out. So we had numbers come out for the retail sales, right? We had retail sales numbers come out. And this is really interesting to me because we had numbers that were considered poor on both fronts. The core retail sales and the retail sales month over month came out as less than expected. And yet we see the dollar rallying very, very hard today. And I want to talk a little bit about that. I do have an opinion as to, I think, why the dollar is still strong. But it is quite strange if you're watching this, off the reaction, you see this number come out and it's really negative for the dollar. And then you get, because look at this. So what this means is we had negative 1.1%. We had a forecast of negative 0.2%. So a very big miss in terms of the forecast. So retail sales dropped worse than expected. What does that mean? If you're new to trading, basically retail sales tells us what the consumer is doing with their money. Are they spending it? Are they, holding on to it? Well, it did seem like we got a significant less spending and sort of stimulus in the economy than we had expected, which is, of course, supposed to be a negative thing for an economy or for the dollar. And yet we see the dollar rallying high today. So a little bit strange, but it happens sometimes where you get this weird sort of figure. Now, consumers basically held off on their situation of spending money, which is probably in response to the concerns around the pandemic resurging. You may have a little bit of concerns of potential unemployment, etc. But anyways, big interest of there on the dollar here today. So where does that bring us? If you have something weird like that, where you have retail sales come out as negative and yet the dollar rallies, because again, we'll pull up the US dollar chart and you can see we are looking strong today. I'll zoom in so you can see it. Here is the 4-hour view and you've got the dollar rallying. So why does that happen? Well, sometimes you just get this weird thing in markets where news reacts differently than expected. And although those numbers are looking bad, it may be sort of a move into the dollar across the board, not necessarily against certain crosses. So what this might mean is that, okay, this slowdown in retail sales, yes, that's not good for the dollar, but it's also not good for a lot of other currencies. For example, we can take a look at the pound dollar today, which is really selling off into this news, right? So you see the dollar actually strengthening in response to negative news, which again sounds very confusing. But if you think about it this way, if retail sales is slowing, and it's showing that the Delta variant may have more of an impact than people may have thought on economic recovery, not just in the US, but worldwide. That could cause volatility and, bearishness for a lot of these currency crosses that have to do with the dollar. You may have a strengthening of the dollar as people favor the more safe haven, more steady US dollar compared to something like the pound, the New Zealand, the Aussie dollar, which, by the way, the Aussie dollar is selling off of a cliff today. We will try and take a look at that some point in the stream. But again, lots of stuff to cover here today. I want to invite you, if you're new to my channel, before I jump into all of this stuff, do me a big favor. I've been forgetting to ask for this lately, so this would be really, really much appreciated if you would do this. But make sure to hit that like button down below in the stream. Let's see if we can run it up to like 200 likes or 300 likes. That would be amazing and very, very helpful just to share this message with more people. Paul Syack says, nice shirt. That's my dad. And this is probably his shirt. I often steal his shirts. So, if you're not stealing shirts from your dad, I don't know what you're doing. That's like free shirts. Grab them anytime you want. I'm totally kidding, but I do think this is my dad's shirt, and I've had it for a while. So sorry, Dad. Anyways, so that dollar weakness, that dollar strength may be a response today, in part due to sort of that concern about the Delta variant. What's the stock market doing in response to this? This is sometimes a clue as to what sentiment is looking like. We do see a little bit of a dip on the stock market here as a 4-hour view. So each one of these candles is 4 hours of trading. And what you'll notice is that overnight into the futures market overnight, we had a little bit of weakness here come into the stock market, possibly in response to the situation with, Afghanistan. You also have the Delta variant spiking in places like Australia and New Zealand. So that may be sort of a response to everything going on. So my view is that there is a reasonable argument for risk off and possibly even dollar strength as we go into this sort of possible 2.0 of dealing with, lockdowns and things like that, as we know are very, very tough on the economy. And as we're seeing today with retail sales numbers coming out as worse than expected, right? So, a couple things to think about there when talking about the markets is that when you see the stock market in the US and places like, we could also take a look at, the UK 100. This is the FTSE, right? Not as sold off today. We are seeing the stock market sell off a little bit more, but still a bit of a retracement there. We could also take a look at, what's Japan's? I always forget. Nikkei 225. We could take a look at Japan to see what their stock market is doing this morning. Just a quick look there. You can see it is selling back off here, probably in large part due to that response to the pandemic concerns over there in the Pacific, for sure. So let's keep going along here. I would like to take a look at some of the dollar crosses. Back to the dollar for a moment. I did want to point out that dollar strength also seems, very prevalent after seeing this higher low here. So we have seen, price rallying and finding buyers each time. So there does look like there's a decent argument for dollar strength to continue. I do have some long positions on the dollar right now. And looking at this thing to me right now, looks like we may be headed right on up to the previous high, which would be great for, my positions and also for anybody who is long biased on the dollar. So sort of switching into a risk off sentiment, especially with everything going on. The stock market does look a bit, heavy on the top side, but we will see how that wants to play out and if the dollar can persist to the upside. I would imagine that those two probably go counter cross to each other, meaning that you have the dollar strengthen as the stock market and more risky assets like the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, the pound, those could weaken in response as well. So that is where I'm at going into today. That is my bias. You guys know I'm not really a day trader, so I'm looking at this stuff more from a swing trading perspective. Did the Taliban issue give the US dollar impact? I would say that yes, it probably had some impact on things like the USD, the Swiss franc, and the JPY. Just from a risk on, risk off standpoint, we've seen some very, very interesting things happen when you have geopolitical events like that can shock sort of sentiment in markets. So yes, I think that you may have some response to that in the dollar and in the JPY. Again, here's the JXY, here's the Japanese yen. Overall has been, sort of climbing where it's been in a overall very, very downward trend. We have seen a bit of retracement here, some higher lows recently, just in response to some of the Delta variant concerns and possibly even with the situation in Afghanistan. So, of course, I am not qualified to give you guys answers on that. Please look to your your politicians and your media sources for that sort of stuff. But just I think from a market standpoint, you may see responses to that sort of situation, like we saw. We saw serious market crashes during 9/11, right? So you do see those sort of scares and concerns come into markets, not just in the news, right? So let's take a look at some of the situations here. We do have news from the US today that could also be market impacting. We did have the retail sales, obviously, but we also have the Fed speaking, I believe, this afternoon. Let me just double check that here with you guys. We'll head over to Forex Factory, and I just want to scroll down here just a bit. Yeah, so we have Fed Chair Powell speaking, and as everyone knows, if you've been trading for any amount of time, you know that when Jerome Powell speaks, it has the potential to make the whole market, have like an earthquake or, head to the heavens. We never really know exactly, but we do see he is expected to speak at an online town hall event. Audience questions expected. And so generally, whenever this guy is speaking, he's talking, he is like the most powerful person in terms of monetary policy here in the US. And so watching those sort of events can lead to some high volatility in the US dollar. Sometimes in stock markets, it can ripple effect into other things if he drops clues intentionally or not about future monetary policy, right? I will get to gold. Don't worry. Thank you very much, Sean. We'll get there. I'm going to be looking at plenty of charts today. Don't worry. I go one thing at a time and I try and do my analysis as thoroughly as possible. So the Euro USD here selling off into the New York session here. We are seeing some follow through to the downside as the dollar strength persists. For me, watching the Euro USD, if you like this thing to the short side, which I personally do, it would be most interesting to me should we see a break underneath the lows here, and then maybe looking for a retest of that area and looking for continuation to the downside there. Euro USD seems to be moving with gold today. Both of them have been sort of hearing or seeing a little bit of a retracement here off of this dollar strength today. Gold, of course, is an interesting topic. Like I said, there's always people, you can see them in the chat. Gold will drop. Yay, gold. Hope gold drops. You get people always wanting to talk about gold. And don't worry, my friends, we will get there. Just give me some time. I want to go through some of the other markets because not everyone just trades gold. It's hard to believe because everyone seems to love it, but we will get there. I just want to wait a little bit so that we get more people in the audience. Since everyone wants to see it, I tend to wait until we have a good number of people here to sort of jump into gold. So we'll get there. Euro USD, like I said, another thing to point out here is that this little higher low concept seems to have been kind of compromised with this breakout to the downside. So if you're watching this on the lower time frames, if you're a day trader, etc., maybe there's opportunities to pick up, on the way down, even before that breakout, because this is more of a swing trading zone, a little bit higher time frame. You might not see that level break this week. It might even be into next week. But watching 1.175 to 1.17, if you are a bull, you may see another attempt to buy off of this level. But for the most part, me looking at the Euro USD, the biggest interest would be, of course, some form of a breakout to the downside, looking for these levels to fail and to look for more dollar strength, especially in response to everything going on right now. I think that it has the potential to sort of carry on for a week or two, right? So that is my bias going into today and for the rest of the week. We'll take a look now at the pound dollar, which is really getting hammered today off of the response of everything going on. Again, you've got the Afghanistan situation, you've got the Delta variant sort of creeping up as a concern for markets. So all things considered, the pound dollar does look to be more sell heavy than ever. I thought that we might have seen a little bit of a breakout. I was wrong about that. The pound dollar was never able to really give any sort of bullish signals. And I'm glad I didn't jump into anything on the pound dollar because, again, you can see now, not only are we seeing, these higher lows, we're seeing a move now all the way back down to the bottom of this channel and even looking like it wants to try and break out underneath the lows of this channel. So The pound dollar looking very, very sold off here. It does, have the potential if you're a counter trend trader. Maybe you see some form of a bounce here off of the bottom. Maybe see a bit of retracement. An opportunity to even look for more short side. But again, the pound is looking very, very sell heavy, especially in response to everything going on. The pound is one that you would probably expect to see getting sold off pretty aggressively. Why is that? Well, the pound in the UK is a bit more of a volatile economy than something huge like the US or Europe, right? So when you have those situations, tends to cause the pound, people sell out of more risky areas like real estate, stocks, the UK holding onto the pound, right? And they exchange that for things that are a bit more stable, something like the yen or the Swiss franc or the dollar, or in some cases gold, right? So that's what I'm looking at. If you're looking at this thing from a lower time frame, you may get a retest of something like this here. You've got resistance, and I really don't see major support here until you start to get back to the lows. Because the thing about this with the pound dollar is that if you scroll out and you get a bit more context going with this, we are in the context of sort of a newly down trend on the 4-hour. And if you scroll out long enough, you look at the daily chart, it's sort of just been back and forth choppy. So for me, there's not too much to talk about here on the pound. Like I said, I think that the path of least resistance is just back down to the lows, because we've seen this high. We saw a failure to really break out on that level, and then now we see a lower high kind of coming into this market pretty decisively, or at least a level of rejection here at this zone, because this was sort of forming at least an attempt to go higher, but then with this rejection recently, it does look like it could head right on back down to the lows there at 1.36. So that's my thought on the pound. Gold is really moving. I can see it on my other screen. Don't you guys worry. I'm going to tease you a little bit longer. We will get to gold. We'll talk about it. Let's talk now about dollar yen. Dollar yen finding demand here at 109. Really strong bounce there, at least so far. I think that the dollar yen continues to be range bound and is likely headed just right on back up to the top of this range. Doesn't seem like there is a major shift against the yen or the dollar here. Does seem like both are generally strong right now. If we take a quick look, you guys, at the currency heat map, which is available on our website, head over to a1trading.com. This is a free resource. Anytime you'd like, you can check it out. And we can go to currency heat map here and scroll down. And so you can see that the dollar is strong today. It is the strongest of the 8 majors as of today. And then you have the yen kind of just behind that. Actually, I think, sorry, the Swiss franc may be just slightly stronger than the dollar, or if not, just about even with the dollar today. But again, the point is, you're seeing selling of the sort of commodity currencies, right? Which we would commodity. I hope I spelled that right. Commodity. Yeah, it's in there. The I is in there. But yeah, so the commodity currencies seem to be really sold off today, meaning, for example, what I mean by that is, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, they have economies that are heavily based on trade and natural resources, oil heavy on the oil side. Australia does a lot of trade with China, things like that, right? So they are very much impacted by shutdowns, slowdowns, economic, decline, so that they really tend to do poorly during that time. So we see those markets getting kind of crushed. And then you have a move into safe havens like the dollar, the yen, and the Swiss franc. I'm curious, what's happening with Bitcoin today? Is Bitcoin, if Bitcoin is acting, I haven't seen it today, but if Bitcoin is acting like a risk on currency, it may be down today. Is it down today? Not really, sort of flat. Okay, I was just interested. So it doesn't look like it's moved much. Actually, Bitcoin has made a really impressive rally off the lows, tagging 30,000 and then just finding major buy pressure there. So going to watch to see if that can continue. I do own some Bitcoin long-term. I have seen my money and Bitcoin just go all over the place over the time of holding it, but it is sort of a longer-term investment for me that either will go to nothing or it will 10 times itself. We will have to wait and see. So we looked at, so I was looking at dollar yen. So dollar yen, like I said, found some demand here at 109. But again, the dollar and the yen both seem fairly strong today. Here on the daily chart, you can see a bit of preference for the dollar. Setups for the dollar yen. Some of you guys might have heard me talking about this earlier on in the week, but I was talking with a member inside of our Discord who was basically short on dollar yen, and I had talked about this on stream. So let me see if I can show you guys this. I think it was the 4-hour chart. I pointed out that the 4-hour chart printed this like beautiful bearish engulfing pattern, right? So you had this scenario where you had, okay, price was pushing higher, came up to the top of this range. And then you had this alert here, which was basically just a huge bearish engulfing. If you don't know what a bearish engulfing pattern is, you can search it up on YouTube. If you search up Trader Nick bearish engulfing or Trader Nick engulfing candle, I talked about that, and sure enough, it really fell through. I wish I had taken the trade myself, but I sort of quickly glanced at it, and I was sort of hesitant, and unfortunately I did not catch the trade. But someone inside of the group sent me a message and said like, hey, I really liked that setup. I went and took it myself, and I was like, hey, good for you. Nice that you spotted something like that. But yeah, so I think that they took the trade and wrote it right on down to the bottom of this range. I now think that the dollar yen has the potential to go right on back up to the top of this range. We will see if that happens. But again, when you get these range bound markets, oftentimes you do see situations where they just keep going back and forth until really markets make a decision. And, making a decision would mean, something very, very hawkish from the dollar to maybe get us above this range, or something very, very dovish for the dollar that could get us below. Of course, the yen's monetary policy has been fairly unchanged for a very, very long time. So it would mostly be a reaction to risk on, risk off sentiment, and sort of watching the Fed. That seems to be the major catalyst there. We can also take a look at something like dollar Swiss franc, and this one seems to be holding the lows very nicely. We did have a retest of support here that I liked, and then price did a little bit of a whiplash move, went down, and then now finding a bit of demand here today. It would be interesting for those of you guys watching the dollar Swiss franc to see if we can get a break above what was this level of consolidation and support, to see if we can get a breakout above that level for something like this. A couple levels to consider here. Depends how you draw this level, if you want to call it support or resistance, because if you extend this out and you look higher time frames, it's sort of still a support, but sort of just consolidation zone is what I would call it. Another thing to think about here is that you do have, of course, the previous highs as a major level of resistance. And then you've got support there at the previous low where we found a lot of buyers back in July. So that's kind of what I'm looking at with the dollar Swiss franc. We've taken a lot of time on the dollar crosses. Let's take a look at gold now. Shout out to my friends who like gold. If you are here and you like gold, do me a big favor and drop a gold gang in the chat. If you're a gold trader, let everybody know, because it seems like everybody loves gold. So real quick, I'll pop it up in the chat. Hashtag gold gang. Where are you guys at? Thanks for being here. Appreciate the support as always. If you're new to my channel and you like this sort of content, you would like more live streams and analysis and trade breakdowns, I pretty much share everything that I'm doing in my trading journey with you guys on YouTube. So if you like this stuff, I invite you. A lot of you guys who are watching my content right now are not yet subscribed to the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, don't just do it to help me out. Do it to help yourself out. If you subscribe to the channel, YouTube will start promoting you more free trading content from myself and channels like mine, where you're hopefully getting, content that's straight up and not the BS that you get sold on social media usually. So if you enjoy my content, like I said, hit that like button down below, run the like button up. It would really be appreciated. And of course, also subscribe for more trading content. Okay. Dang, there's a lot of you guys out here looking at gold today. Let's talk about gold. You guys know I have been long on gold since 1703. It's probably one of the best positions that I've had in several months. That is a move there of several hundreds of pips to the upside there. So I cannot complain by any means. My position on gold is running beautifully. And today seeing a little bit of a pullback in response to dollar strength. You may be asking, well, Nick, are you going to jump out of gold? Are you going to sell your position? Are you going to hold on to it? And I don't know. Let's figure it out together. Here we go. So let's do that right now. By the way, shout out to Ivan, who is here with us in the chat. He's going to be sharing some more insight on some of the stuff that I miss. If you guys are not already a fan of Ivan like myself, I'm a fan of Ivan. I like watching his streams. He's coming on our channel, or our second channel, in just 35 minutes. If you're new to my content, we have a second channel on YouTube. Let me do a favor for you guys. I'm gonna do you a solid really quick, because I want you guys to join this stream that's happening in just 30 minutes. If you have not yet met Ivan, I would highly encourage you to join us on our next stream. I just dropped a link in the chat here. So there it is in the chat. Click that link and set the reminder to go watch that stream and meet Ivan. He is another one of our sphere of traders in the A1 trading world. He is a very, very experienced trader and has some great insights on some of the markets that we are looking at today. You might not just want to hear my take on things. And if you want to hear another take, I highly encourage you to check out Ivan. He's underrated in YouTube, and I think he should have way more subscribers. So we're gonna help run him up, and I want you guys to also check out the A1 Trading YouTube channel for more free trading content and webinars. So if you like my content, get more of it by going to our second channel as well. All right. So gold. Is it a buy? Is it a sell? Well, for me, I bought it. Like I said, I'm already in my position. I have nothing to do here except plan or manage my trade going forward. What I mean by that is I bought at 1703. Price has basically run up since then, and I've been able to trail my stop loss considerably on this position. I believe my stop loss is just underneath this 1770 mark. So if price does reverse here, I will get stopped out. So my plan here is to leave the stop loss in place until we get a bit more upside or I get stopped out, right? So there is only two situations for me here as a gold long trader. So I am long on gold. Like I said, my entry is back here. I have to keep bragging about it because it was one of my better entries in a long time. So I'm going to brag about it. So if you're annoyed about me bragging about it, I'm sorry. It's just that I don't always take those good of trades. I wish every trade was that good. I mess up just like everyone else. And, you know, not all of my trades are so picture perfect, but I ended up getting long there. And since then have trailed my stop a few times. At this point, I trailed it to break even. So once, twice, 3 times, 4 times have I trailed my stop loss deeper into profit. So my goal here is one of 2 scenarios as a gold trader. I do have a trend line in mind. I have a general structure of bullishness in mind here when looking at the gold market. I would not like it to see, you know, as a bull, I don't want it to come down to this level. But if it does, my plan is to stop out and to take my profit and be happy and don't be greedy. Right? So that's my first scenario. Scenario number 2 is to let this thing run. I don't have a take profit on my trade. I have only stop losses placed in profit. So scenario number 2 is that we get a nice, you know, break above and we see dollar strength, maybe, you know, kind of decline. And then, you know, watching this thing continue to rally. If it does rally, I will look to move stops yet again. So that is my 2-case scenario. I either will stop out for a profit and be happy with the profit, or I will trail stops further should we see a breakout that really clears this 1795 zone. That is where I am looking at with gold, or what I'm doing with gold right now. For those of you guys who have been keeping up with my thoughts on gold recently, that is the main focus, is just to continue to hold a winner and to let it become a big win. Now, I have to say, right, sometimes I get criticism for not taking profit or not having a take profit on my trade. People will say, Nick, you know, you didn't take profit and it reversed on you. This is the rare scenario. It doesn't happen all the time like this. Otherwise, I'd be a zillionaire. This is the rare scenario in which trailing stops really, really pays off, because I could have taken profit here. I could have taken profit here. I could have taken profit here, right? And each time, had I closed the position, I would have left profits on the table because we had another extra nice little run to the upside, right? So for me as a gold long biased trader, I have already done my work. I've already entered my position back here. Now it is just a matter of holding on and letting it run or not. For those of you guys who are not in a position on gold, here is my general analysis for the gold market. Like I said, I've got this trend line in mind. You've got these levels here where buyers continue to step in. If you are a gold long bias trader, maybe there's some opportunity to look for long setups, but I would be cautious as we are at a major level of resistance here. If we scroll out just a bit at 1795 to 1800. So for me, if I was looking at this thing fresh, I'd like to see a breakout here above, and some form of continuation play could be the most interesting scenario for me as a, as a bull looking for possible entries on the upside, right? For bears, actually, I think it's sort of the exact opposite scenario, waiting to see, can we break underneath this level? If we do, maybe there's a chance to retest and actually continue lower, right? Looking for that 1800 area to just get completely rejected would be a catalyst there for bears, in my opinion, looking at XAU USD or the gold market. I hope that's helpful to you for those of you guys who trade gold. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Where do you think gold heads? I mean, it does seem like we are at a pretty key spot of resistance. But again, the gold power train to the upside seems strong as well. Comment real quick. Let's see what you guys have to say in the chat right now. If you're watching with me live, let me know. Do you think it is headed higher or lower? Bullish, bearish, up, down? What do you think? I am curious to see what you guys have to say. I'll just read up some of the chats here. Let's see what we've got going on. Okay, so we'll pull them up. Daily Random says bullish on gold. Lots of bulls in the house. A couple bears as well. Retailers will go short. Big money will go bull. Mesh, I would think that is probably a fair analysis. Bearish, down. Bullish for me. Gold rising, bullish. Okay, we've got a lot of bulls here in the house. I feel like generally you guys are bullish on gold. Am I right about that? I don't know. I feel like people are just generally bullish on gold. But truthfully, if you scroll out long enough on gold, here's like a monthly chart, right? You can't see anything. I'm just kidding. If you look at, there it is. So if you look at the monthly chart, long-term gold tends to, at least historically, go up. It's not by a lot. It's not any, recently it's vastly underperformed the stock market. During 2020, it had a much better year than the stock market, but in general, it has sort of underperformed, but still gone up over time. So I am always slightly bullish biased on gold. I've mentioned this many times on streams as well. I'm usually just pretty much looking for long trades only if this setting sort of permits, if you will. Right. So I'm not usually looking for short setups when it comes to gold, just because of its inherent, like, sort of deflationary, longer term upside nature. Right. Over time, in 10 years from now, probably all of us will look at gold and it will likely be higher. Not a guarantee, not, here to tell you to go buy gold and stick it in your account for 10 years. Although, that's sort of my opinion, right? I think that it will go up, over time. And so I do own some myself on sort of a longer term perspective. But again, on the lower time frames, for those of you guys who are day trading this thing, looking at this from a shorter term perspective, watch to see if this trend line can hold and how price reacts to this 1800 level. There may be some clues that come afterwards. Okay. NZD sell-off due to response of is it Auckland? Is that how you say it? I don't even know how to say that city. But yeah, there was some cases that were found there that were sort of concerning, and a question of whether or not it could be a damper on the hawkishness of the Bank of New Zealand's statement coming out today. That could be something of interest. We saw this thing break to the downside and then just melted away. We saw, NZD pairs just continue to go to the downside, which was not great for me. I took some long positions earlier on in the week on NZD pairs and stopped out. So that happens. It's unfortunate, but I'm glad that I did, because if I had held on to them, I would be in much more pain than maybe some of the people, had I not stopped out. So, so watching NZD could be interesting. And like I said, I think that overall, I think that dollar strength for me right now seems a bit more appealing and more likely than some of the other things, due to everything going on in terms of fear and risk off sentiment, etc. So with that said, you guys, I am going to wrap up the stream. Like I said earlier, we do have another stream starting in just a short bit. I'm going to put the link down below in the chat once more. Click this link. It's starting up on our secondary YouTube channel, A1 Trading. We're going to have Ivan come on. He's going to share some insight on everything going on as well. If you guys have not yet met Ivan, he's another one of our sort of analysts in rotation here at A1 Trading. So he does a fantastic job, very, very smart guy, and very excited to hear what he has to say starting in just a short bit. So click that link in the chat and come join us on our second channel, especially if you are just tuning into this stream and you want to see more stuff. Again, I promise you're not missing out, or you're not going to miss out if you go watch Ivan's stream as well. So check it out. Link is in the chat there. Let's go hang out with Ivan in just 25 minutes. I'm going to go take a break and get some water and prepare for the amazing enlightenment that I will experience watching Sir Ivan FX. Guys, thank you very much for being here today. Have a great rest of your day. Trade safe. It is wild out there. And I hope to see you guys over on Ivan's stream in just a few minutes. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back next time.
I know you were expecting Nick, but my name's Julie and I do the real work around here. I wanted to take a second to thank you guys for watching the show and tell you more about some free content that we offer. One of the things that we offer is a free email newsletter. So if you click the link down below, you can sign up for free market analysis, trading tips, and exclusive offers. Every once in a while, someone here at A1 Trading takes a crazy trade and you'll be the first one to know about it. See you guys next time.